They've told you nuts are good for your heart, but for gentlemen past the age of 60, that advice could be quietly undermining your vitality, dimming your mental sharpness, and even putting a strain on your kidneys. Yes, the wrong kind of nut, perhaps one you enjoy every single day, could be subtly fueling inflammation, interfering with your medications, and sapping your strength where it counts the most. I'm Dr. Evelyn Blake. For over 3 decades, I've been helping older men reclaim their vigor, their mental clarity, and their self-assurance in a natural way. And what I've observed time and again is this: the very foods you believe are supporting you might actually be holding you back. Here's a surprising revelation. 4 of the most commonly enjoyed nuts in America, the ones that fill your trail mix, line your kitchen shelves, and even appear in so-called healthy snacks, could be leaving you feeling drained, mentally foggy, and disconnected from your own vitality. But the good news is, there are 4 other nuts, supported by solid science, that can have the opposite effect. These nuts can encourage healthy circulation, give your testosterone a boost, sharpen your mind, and even help you enjoy a full night's sleep. And today, I'm going to guide you through all 8 of them, the 4 you should avoid from now on, and the 4 you should consider incorporating into your daily routine. And towards the end, I'll reveal the single nut I believe poses the greatest risk to the health of senior men. It might be sitting in your pantry as we speak. Before we get started, please be sure to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another senior health tip that could truly change your life. And if this message resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can better address your health and well-being. Let's start with the first nut you should think twice about eating after 60. It's a staple in many homes, promoted as a healthy option, and yet, behind the label, it's quietly contributing to inflammation, raising your blood pressure, and potentially clashing with your medications. That nut is the peanut. Let me explain why. 1. Peanuts, the hidden inflammation trigger. I'll always remember when George came to see me in my office. He was 72, a proud Vietnam veteran, still enjoying a daily walk, strong in spirit, yet he sat across from me looking perplexed. His joints were more achy than usual. His energy had taken a dive, and his blood pressure had crept up unexpectedly. "Doc," he said, "I'm eating healthy. I snack on peanuts instead of chips. They're supposed to be good for you, right?" That moment gave me pause because George was doing what so many wonderful men over 60 do, trusting the labels, trusting what they've always known. But the truth is, peanuts technically aren't nuts at all. They're legumes. And because they grow underground, they're especially susceptible to aflatoxins, toxins produced by molds that you can't see, smell, or taste. These toxins have been linked to liver problems, immune suppression, and even cancer. And for seniors, whose bodies naturally detoxify at a slower pace, that buildup becomes a genuine and silent threat. Peanuts are also known to stimulate chronic, low-grade inflammation. That can mean joint discomfort, mental fog, cardiovascular strain, all the things George was experiencing. And while they may seem harmless, most commercially available peanuts are roasted in unhealthy oils and heavily salted, which only exacerbates blood pressure and heart health risks. To make matters more complex, peanuts can interact with certain medications, particularly blood thinners, by affecting the absorption of vitamin K and liver function. George was taken aback, but when we removed the peanuts, introduced some healthier alternatives, and gave his body the chance to recover, things began to turn around. His joints felt better, his blood pressure came down, his focus sharpened. And if peanuts, something as common as that, could be causing that much trouble, just wait until you hear what the next nut might be doing to your blood sugar, your kidneys, and your digestion. It's one of the most deceptively healthy choices out there. Let's talk about it. 2. Cashews, a trap for blood sugar and kidney health. Some years ago, I had a patient named Linda. She was 70, warm-hearted, always smiling, and the kind of grandmother who loved to bake for her grandchildren. But recently, she'd been feeling out of sorts, bloated, fatigued, and puzzled by sudden blood sugar spikes. She wasn't diabetic, but her blood sugar numbers were rising, and she couldn't figure out why. During our conversation, she mentioned one thing repeatedly: cashews. She added them to her granola, her smoothies, even her supposedly healthy snack bars. "They're good for you, right?" she asked. "I see this so often. Cashews give the appearance of being a health food, but for older adults, they can present some hidden dangers. Ounce for ounce, Cashews contain about 9 grams of carbohydrates, which is high for a nut, and they have a surprisingly strong effect on blood sugar levels. For someone like Linda, who was already borderline pre-diabetic, those daily spikes were quietly putting stress on her system. And here's something most people don't realize. Cashews are high in oxalates. These compounds can bind to calcium in your digestive system, reducing its absorption and increasing the risk of kidney stones, which are not only painful but also more dangerous as we age. On top of that, cashews can be a choking hazard, particularly for seniors who may have slower swallowing reflexes. Their soft, curved shape makes them deceptively risky. And unless they're processed correctly, raw cashews contain urushiol, the same chemical found in poison ivy, which must be neutralized through heat and chemical treatments, often stripping away vital nutrients. When Linda replaced cashews with safer, more beneficial options, her digestion improved, her blood sugar stabilized, and she felt lighter and more energetic. It was a simple change, but it made a world of difference. Now, if you think cashews are sneaky, wait until you hear about the next nut. It's buttery, rich, and promoted as heart-healthy, but it could be quietly adding pounds, clogging your arteries, and even triggering gallbladder problems. Let me show you what it is. 3. Macadamia nuts, a calorie and fat bomb in disguise. Carl was one of those patients who was doing almost everything right. A retired engineer in his late 60s, he had a sharp mind, a disciplined lifestyle, and took pride in staying healthy. But over a few months, something started to shift. His weight gradually increased. His blood pressure followed suit. He felt unusually tired after eating. When I reviewed his diet, he chuckled and said, "Doc, I don't eat junk food. Just a few macadamia nuts each night. They're supposed to be good for the heart, right?" It's a common belief, and I understood where he was coming from. Macadamia nuts have that smooth, buttery taste that feels almost luxurious, like a perfectly healthy indulgence. But the reality is, they pack a tremendous number of calories and fat into each tiny handful. Just 1 ounce, barely a small scoop, contains nearly 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. That's enough to quietly disrupt the metabolism of any man over 60, especially if his physical activity has slowed down. It's what I call invisible weight gain, not from overeating, but from underestimating. But it goes deeper than that. Macadamia nuts are high in saturated fat, which can raise LDL cholesterol levels and put extra strain on an aging heart. They're also dense and hard, which can pose real problems for seniors with dental work. And for those with gallbladder issues, whether they know it or not, these high-fat nuts can trigger painful episodes, even emergencies. When Carl cut them out, the difference was remarkable. His energy returned. His weight stabilized. His after-meal discomfort disappeared. It wasn't about feeling guilty. It was about being aware. But while macadamia nuts might slowly weigh you down, the next nut on our list can create chaos in a completely different way by changing the way your food and water taste, affecting your appetite, and even interfering with your medications. This one surprises almost everyone. Let's take a look. 4. Pine nuts, the medication disruptor. Several years ago, a thoughtful patient named Ruth came to my office with a concern I'll never forget. She was 74, sharp as a tack, careful with her routines, and deeply committed to staying healthy. But something had changed. "Dr. Blake," she said, "everything tastes like metal, water, food, even tea. It's been going on for weeks." At first, we looked at the usual suspects, medications, hydration, even vitamin deficiencies. But then she mentioned something she'd recently added to her diet: homemade pesto loaded with pine nuts. That's when it all clicked. Ruth was experiencing a condition known as pine mouth, a strange metallic taste distortion that can persist for days or even weeks after eating certain types of pine nuts. Now, while that may not sound dangerous on its own, here's the hidden danger. When food and water suddenly taste unpleasant, many seniors unconsciously start eating and drinking less. For someone already at risk of unintended weight loss or dehydration, this can lead to a rapid decline in strength, immunity, and even mood. But the potential problems with pine nuts don't stop there. They contain compounds that may interfere with liver enzymes that are responsible for processing many common medications, especially drugs for blood pressure, cholesterol, and mental health. That means your prescriptions might not work as effectively as they should, or worse, they could cause unexpected side effects. Pine nuts also tend to go rancid quickly, and when their delicate fats oxidize, they can actually increase inflammation rather than reduce it. On top of all that, they're small and slippery, and for those with dry mouth or weaker swallowing reflexes, they pose a real choking hazard. When Ruth eliminated the pesto, her appetite returned, her energy improved, and the metallic taste finally faded. Sometimes it's the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. And now that you know the 4 nuts that can quietly undermine your health, let's turn the tables because there are 4 powerful, healing nuts that I recommend to almost every man over 60, ones that can boost testosterone, restore memory, lower blood pressure, and even help you sleep more soundly. Let me show you what they are. 1. Brazil nuts, the thyroid and testosterone booster. I still remember Jack as if it were yesterday. A retired firefighter in his late 60s, he came to my office feeling completely burned out. His words were simple but heavy. "Doc, I'm tired. I've lost my edge." His energy was depleted. His memory was slipping. And the fire he once carried in his body and in his spirit had dimmed. We ran a full blood panel, and one thing stood out immediately. Jack's selenium levels were dangerously low. Now, selenium is a trace mineral that most men never think about, but it plays a critical role in how we think, move, and feel. It fuels thyroid hormones, which govern metabolism, energy, mood, and brain function. And just as importantly, selenium is essential for testosterone production, a hormone that affects everything from muscle strength to libido to emotional resilience. Without enough selenium, these systems start to slow down quietly and steadily. I gave Jack a simple assignment: eat 1 Brazil nut every morning. Not a supplement, not a complicated plan, just 1 nut. 3 weeks later, he was a new man. His eyes were brighter. He spoke with more energy. And with a grin, he said, "Doc, I don't know what's in that nut, but I feel alive again." That's the power of Brazil nuts. Just 1 nut contains more than 130% of your daily selenium needs. And unlike synthetic pills, the selenium in Brazil nuts is natural and highly absorbable. It also supports nerve health by maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective layer that keeps your reflexes sharp and your movements coordinated. But if 1 single nut can awaken your thyroid, recharge your testosterone, and protect your nerves, imagine what happens when you pair it with the next one. It's a silent guardian of your bones and your brain, and it might already remind you of someone you love. Let's talk about it. 2. Almonds, the bone and brain defender. Almonds always bring my father to mind. Every morning, like clockwork, he'd sit by the window with a warm cup of tea and a small bowl of raw almonds. He'd crack them slowly, chew with intention, and say, "These little things are keeping me sharp, Evelyn." Back then, I didn't fully understand what he meant, but now, after decades in medicine and working with aging men, I know he was right. Almonds are more than just a snack. For men over 60, they're a quiet source of protection, especially for your bones and your brain. As we age, bone density naturally declines. A fall that once resulted in a bruise can now mean a fracture, a hospital stay, or months of recovery. Almonds are rich in calcium, but what makes them truly special is their magnesium content. Magnesium acts like a traffic controller, directing calcium into your bones where it belongs instead of allowing it to clog your arteries. It's a rare and powerful combination that supports both bone strength and heart health. And then there's your brain. Almonds, especially when eaten with the skin on, contain flavonoids and vitamin E, 2 antioxidants that work together to combat the oxidative stress that damages brain cells. Studies suggest that regular almond consumption may slow down cognitive decline and protect against age-related memory loss. Even the fiber in almonds plays a role, helping to regulate digestion, reduce constipation, and keep your energy levels more stable throughout the day. I generally recommend 15 to 20 almonds a day, raw or dry roasted, unsalted, chewed slowly and mindfully. It's not just a snack. It's an investment in your mental clarity, your physical balance, and, ultimately, your independence. But while almonds protect your bones and your brain, the next nut goes even deeper. It looks like a tiny brain, and it might just be the best food nature ever created to protect the real one. You won't want to miss this. 3. Walnuts, the brain's favorite food. I once had a patient named Harold, a retired music teacher in his 70s. He had recently lost his wife and was quietly struggling, forgetting names, misplacing his keys, even getting confused while driving home from familiar places. During one of our visits, he opened a kitchen cabinet and pulled out a small jar. Inside were walnuts. He looked at me and said, "I read somewhere that they're good for the brain. and they kind of look like a brain, don't they? He gave a little laugh, but he was right, more right than he knew. Walnuts are a miracle of nature, especially for aging minds. They're rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that helps maintain the flexibility of brain cell membranes. As we age, these membranes tend to stiffen, slowing down communication between neurons. That's when memory gets fuzzy, focus wanes, and that mental sharpness we once had begins to slip away. Walnuts help keep those connections strong. But it doesn't stop there. Walnuts are also packed with polyphenol, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and help reduce neural inflammation, one of the root causes of dementia and cognitive decline. And they contain natural melatonin, which can help restore the deep, restorative sleep that becomes harder to find as we grow older. Harold began eating a handful of walnuts each night. Within a month, he told me he felt more alert, more grounded. "It's not just my memory, Doc," he said. "I feel like I'm slowly coming back to myself." I recommend 7 to 9 walnut halves daily, preferably raw and eaten with the skin. That's where many of the beneficial compounds reside. And while walnuts help restore what time tries to take from the brain, the next nut on our list may just be your secret weapon for better blood pressure, clearer vision, and stable blood sugar, all in one. Let's uncover what makes it so extraordinary. 4. Pistachios, the blood pressure, vision, and sugar stabilizer. When I think of pistachios, I think of my grandfather. Every afternoon, like clockwork, he'd sit in his old wooden chair by the kitchen window with a bowl of pistachios in his lap. He'd crack each one open slowly, quietly, almost like a ritual. Back then, I thought it was just a quirky habit, but now I understand. He was doing something incredibly wise without even knowing it. Pistachios are one of the most underrated nuts, especially for men over 60. They're packed with potassium, more preserving than most fruits, and that's key for relaxing blood vessels and naturally lowering blood pressure. For older men who are more sensitive to salt and prone to arterial stiffness, this kind of gentle support makes a real difference. But pistachios offer more than just heart protection. They're rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two powerful antioxidants that concentrate in the retina and help filter out harmful blue light. These nutrients play a critical role in preserving vision and slowing age-related macular degeneration, something many men quietly fear as the years go on. Even more impressive, pistachios support blood sugar stability with about 3 grams of fiber per ounce and a low glycemic index. They help slow digestion and reduce post-meal sugar spikes, making them ideal for anyone managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And here's something else. Eating them in the shell slows you down, turning snacking into a mindful activity. It gives your body time to register fullness, helping to prevent overeating without the need to count calories. I recommend 1 ounce per day, about 49 nuts, unsalted or lightly salted, and always kept fresh. But now that you've learned the 4 nuts I encourage my patients to eat every single day, the real question is, how do these small choices come together to change your life? Let's bring it all home with one powerful final message. Final message from Dr. Blake. After decades of sitting across from men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, I've seen one truth over and over again. It's not age that breaks us down. It's the little habits we repeat. Today, we uncovered 4 nuts to consider avoiding: peanuts, cashews, macadamia nuts, and pine nuts, and 4 to embrace: Brazil nuts, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. These aren't just snacks. They're signals to your body that you're ready to heal. If this message helped you or someone you love, please consider donating to support more senior-focused health content like this. Every contribution makes a difference.